Hello, and thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Subie and You podcast with Bucky Lasek. How awesome is that we got him on the podcast? That's super cool. I'm excited to share this with everybody and hear a little bit from Bucky himself. I have to admit that when we first went into this, I was pretty nervous, but I had met him at Boxer Fest and hung out some and got to talk to him and hung out with him some at Banger in the Hangar here in Houston. But, those were both really busy days and he was there with friends and talking to people and stuff. So it was cool to have him on the podcast and kind of have him all to myself. That was really nice. But once we got to talking pretty quickly, I chilled out and I wasn't so nervous anymore. So I was very thankful to have him on the podcast and get a chance to talk to him. We kind of went back in the day and talked about some of his early skateboarding days, talked about rally, and just some other things that we'll get into in the episode that you'll just have to wait and hear. But before we get into this episode with Bucky, we will take care of some business. So since we recorded this episode with Bucky Lasek, when I state that Melee Design Firm is a sponsor of the podcast, I think it's appropriate to mention that there are a couple of Lasek special edition battery mounts. We talk about that a little bit in the podcast, and that the proceeds from the sale of those battery mounts go to a good cause. Not only does Melee Design Firm have battery mounts, but they also distribute batteries as well as some other products, including their engine bay caps. So go check out meleedesignfirm.com for all of your Subaru needs, and also follow them on Instagram. You can also check out their media company, Melee Media, as well. Thank you so much, Melee Design Firm, for sponsoring the Subie and You podcast. This episode is also brought to you by the Subaru Gear Store. That's the place where you can go and find all of your Subaru branded merchandise. You can also explore Give Back Gear, which is gear from companies that allow Subaru to spread the love and share the Subaru love promise, which we all know is very, very important to Subaru. And some of the brands that are making a difference are Clean Canteen, TerraCycle, Basecamp, EcoVessel, Mirror, All Made, Cool, and Adidas. So go check out the Subaru Gear Store at SubaruGear.com and make sure and use the code SubieandYou for 15% off of your order plus free shipping. And of course, this episode is brought to you by the newest sponsor of the Subie and You podcast, Rika VS. In your pursuit of adventure, Rika VS is right there with you. Rika is committed to providing customers with the highest quality specialized wheels and lift kits that will allow you to travel further, experience new adventures, and discover extraordinary destinations. Rika wants to make sure that you are ready for anything, wherever adventure takes you. When you visit the Rika VS website, you will find that they have some really great styles that will really enhance the look of your Subaru. Rika's Flowform process creates both lightweight and durable wheels, which are of the highest quality and are built to satisfy the requirements of all of you adventure enthusiasts. In addition to their very stylish wheels, you will also find that Rika provides lift kits to raise your Subaru to protect the vehicle's underbody from damage while off-roading. The lift kits were also designed to increase the vehicle ride height in order to accommodate larger tires while maintaining the factory ride quality and alignment, which is very important. The quest for adventure begins with you, and Rika is what gets you there, whether it's a set of their stylish wheels or a lift kit. So go to RikaVS.com and use the code SUBIEU10 at checkout to get 10% off of your set of wheels or lift kit today. Thank you so much, Rika VS, for sponsoring the Subie and You podcast. All right, it's time for another Apple podcast review. The title of this is Great Show, and this one was from Matt. Pure love for Subaru. This well-written and produced show is a weekly chat about the Subaru nation. The host is very genuine, and you can tell he's just a darn good person. If you love your Subaru or are thinking about Subaru, this is a great listen. I always look forward to Mondays. Thank you so much for that review, Matt. That was awesome. I really appreciate that. That was very nice of you to say that. Thank you. I also have a shout out. I've got one shout out to Trek Stormtrooper. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast, and thanks for your DM letting me know that you found it. So welcome to the listener community of this Subie and You podcast. So we will get into the episode here with Bucky in just a minute. But first, I want to give a huge shout out to all my patrons who help support the podcast. You are a big part of what makes this show successful, and I want to thank you all very much. If you have not signed up yet for Patreon, go check out the link in my bio, and you will also get some bonus content and some perks. But with this episode, you get a little bit more because I asked some bonus questions of Bucky, which I provided for my patrons, and one of which was how he met his wife by rattling the china in her mom's house. And if you want to know what David Spade, DMX, and Pamela Anderson all had to do with Bucky's birthday one year, then go click on the link and sign up for Patreon today because you don't want to miss this bonus content. And now we will get into this episode with Bucky Lasek. Here we go. I just want to say thank you for taking the time to do this. I know you're a busy guy and you got a lot going on. So I really, really appreciate you coming on the Subie and You podcast. And I know the guests will enjoy it, getting to hear from you and be excited to see that you're on the podcast.
Pleasure to be here.
So I know that, pretty much people know who you are, but I guess go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of let us know where, what part of the country you live in and maybe a little bit about you to start it off.
My name is Bucky Lasek. I am 49 years old, live in San Diego, California, from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm a professional skateboarder, rally driver, and big-time car Subaru enthusiast.
Yeah, so speaking of Subaru enthusiast, how did that get started? How long have you been into Subarus, and where did that, you obviously have a passion for it. So where did that come from?
Well, I got bit by the bug. I was actually racing tarmac, racing shifter carts and just having fun with racing, and about to start racing Grand Am at the time. And my agent, same agent as Dave Miro, RIP, and Travis Pastrana, Ken Block, Steve Astafin was my agent at WMG. And when Travis left to go to NASCAR, my agent was like, hey, you want to go try Subaru Rally into that? Like, I was like, yeah, but like, I don't really have that much seat time in rally cars.
Yeah.
So I did some training out at Dirtfish, met Forrest Duplessis, and just learned the ways of the slide, and just fell in love with it, tested for Subaru, and got the seat.
Yeah, how was that coming from like the skateboarding world into the rally world, and how was that accepted, or was it like, what's this skateboard guy doing over here in these rally cars now?
Well, Ken Block was into it, Travis Pastrana was into it, Dave Miro was into it. So with skating, I think me being into it, it was just probably just another action sports guy. So at the time, it was kind of happening,
Yeah.
People, Jeremy McGrath from Supercross was into trucks. Same with Ricky Carmichael, and Twitch showed some interest. Ronnie Feist showed some interest. Deegan killing it,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All those guys just come from action sports background.
Yeah. So speaking of action sports backgrounds, I want to go back a little bit, and I guess we'll start off with, where did the name Bucky come from?
Long story short, my sperm donor. I have a real father, but he left me when I was young, so I just call him sperm donor.
Okay. So was that his name, or was it a nickname that he had?
his name was Charles. His nickname was Bucky, and his last name was different. His middle name was the same as mine was. So
Okay.
it's kind of carried his name, but didn't. I stay with my mom's last name.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So when you were younger and obviously, because like for me personally, being new to Subaru, I mean, I've only had my car for a year and a half, no, less than a year and a half. And I, I didn't really know much about Subaru. So when I saw you in the Subaru scene, I was like, oh, I know him from X Games, from skateboarding. Cause, I didn't follow anybody's career really. I just remember names and people from back in the X Games because I used to like watching it. But like, how did you get interested in skateboarding in the first place? And like, how old were you when that interest started to come about?
I was about 12 years old. I mean, I skated in my neighborhood. Some kids had some skateboards, and I skated around, around just out front. But I got my skateboard when I was 12, and I basically, my interest was sparked just because it was kind of like the in thing at the time. Because I was riding bikes, doing like dirt jumps and stuff like that. Like not really racing, but just more into like the freestyle jumping. No backflips or anything, but just like 360s,
Yeah.
jumping over and tabletop and seeing how high I can go. Gap jumps and stuff like that, but nothing like it is now. And my bike got stolen, and from there, skateboarding was just the next big thing that I got into. And I finally got one for Christmas, and here I am.
Yeah. So, like, when did you first start seeing people doing tricks and stuff like that? Because you said you were just like skating around the neighborhood. So I imagine it was probably just kind of low key and just
Yeah.
cruising around. But when did like the actual, like, real passion for like, hey, you can do more than just cruise on the street? There's all this other stuff you can do.
That you saw Lords of Dogtown, right?
Uh,
Stacy, Tony Alva, the movie they did about those guys.
I actually did not, but I need to check it out.
Yeah. It's basically like the history of how skateboarding went from like surfing to backyard pools and how it created like this whole thing we know of today. But with I got sidetracked there. The movie we were kind of doing the same thing, but in a neighborhood like where I grew up in. I kind of through high school, I met all these different skaters. So we would meet up at these different spots after school. So we were kind of like the Lords of Dogtown, but we were like the Lords of Dundalk.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And from there, we just watched videos. Tony Hawk and Steve Caballero and Christian Soy, McGill, all those guys, Chris Miller, and we just got inspired by them and just started kind of imitating them. And we found ramps to ride, and here we are. Got a wall. These are all the ones that I want with, but I have another wall I need to do over here, but just you only see this wall, so that's why it's all done.
Yeah. So those are all the boards that you won with.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then, so like, what was the like the skating scene back then, and just kind of, I guess, probably what you described, huh?
Yeah, just a bunch of kids rolling around, getting kicked out of everywhere and trying to skate everything. And we get kicked out of one thing, and we'll be like, "Oh, we didn't go. We haven't been here in a while. Let's go there. Go there, get kicked out." And
Yeah, just cruise around and find new spots, huh?
yeah, we were like troublemakers in a sense, but we weren't really troublemakers. Just trouble kind of like instantly went like it not only found us, but it would like instantly go to here because we were skating.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
When did you start getting into looking at doing it more professionally, and how did that come about?
just locally picking up sponsors, doing local contests, and then getting like flowed product from bigger companies and eventually getting noticed, and people came on, Pal Peralta came on tour and came to my local ramp, noticed me skating, and Stacy Peralta kind of like, hey, like I can see you doing this, like for real, like, have you thought about like turning pro and blah, blah, blah. And man, really stoked on like the way you skate. Like you thought about joining the team? Like, like, I don't know how I exactly worded it, but it was awesome. And then like I just joined Pal Peralta.
So, and how old were you?
I was probably like 14 ish.
So what was that like for you, for them to like notice you that way and compliment you like that, and then say, hey, let's come join this team and start to put you on a path to doing this professionally?
It was just cool because I was just living the video. I was living videos I was watching. So I was hanging out with everyone that was in the videos. So it was cool.
Yeah. And then was your mom supportive of all this?
Yeah. I mean, she was still kind of doing her own thing. So as long as I didn't get into trouble, which I wasn't really getting into trouble. And I was just like, nowadays, there's no way a 14, 12, I don't know, 12-year-old, I was kind of like getting around on bikes still. But like when you get into like 14, I had friends that drove. So like 14, 15, I was going pretty far. Like just by, like as long as I'm home at a certain time, I was good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. But she wouldn't give me a ride. Like half hour away. So I'd have to catch a bus like an hour.
Yeah.
And skate like an hour.
Yeah, I know those are kind of back in the days when it was a little more chill like that. Cause I mean, me and my friends used to go out and like ride our bikes like way at the back of the neighborhood and cruise around here and there. And it was just like, make sure you come home for dinner.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Nowadays it's different.
Yeah. Way different. And, so what was it like back? When did you start competing in X Games, and like what were the days of the X Games back then? Like, what was that like for you?
For me, my first X Games, I was injured and had I didn't even have an ACL my first year of X Games. And in the second year, I just had it replaced. So I was recovering from having it replaced. I know. By then, I was kind of used to it. X Games was kind of like the big contest, but like we were already skating big contests. I didn't actually skate the first two X Games because of sponsorship and injury, and then the other one was played knee.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Experience-wise, it didn't really. I mean, it was a big stage. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It was this big lit up snowboard jump. I mean, it's pretty extravagant as far as like visual things, like it's like Disneyland, like showing up to Disneyland for action sports back then.
Yeah. Yeah. And so because you obviously know Tony Hawk now, and he was somebody that you look up to back then, but what was it like when you first met him, and how did that happen?
It was actually at that ramp where I got picked up.
Oh, okay, cool.
Just skating, just kind of like going to a park now and skating with someone, and you know who they are, and they're, you're engaging with them. It was, kind of like that. Like by then, it wasn't like I was like super, super starstruck. It was just like, man, that's freaking Tony Hawk and I'm skating. I kind of knew what I was feeling. Like it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was little for my age. Maybe 5 foot, under 5 foot, and just skin and bones with pads and a flyway helmet, which basically looked like a tortoise shell on your head, old school. So it was pretty funny.
Yeah, and so kind of fast forwarding a little bit, getting into your career, I was looking, doing some Google searches and stuff, and it said at one time you were considered the best vert skater in the world. So What was it like having that status?
That was like yesterday, right?
I don't know. I mean, I looked it up a while back.
Um, I don't know. I mean, I definitely enjoyed those days of. I think it was just the confidence that you had, like going in the contest, and all the morning TV shows and stuff like that. That I mean, it was to me it was just skateboarding to me, like doing something I have a passion to progress in, and to be able to do all that stuff was pretty rad. You know what I mean? Like thinking back, like what skateboarding did for me and all those opportunities. So uh pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, starting something that you were just kind of doing for fun, and then meeting up with other people and just kind of cruising around and like getting into it a little bit more, to having somebody saying like, "Hey,
We're pretty much doing the same thing still.
yeah."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're still getting out there, and I mean, I saw you post a video yesterday. I was like, man, it's still awesome.
Yeah. It's still I still call my friends up, and different guys are in town and we go skate. I don't know. Things haven't really changed since I was like 14.
Yeah.
I mean, I think yeah, once you get a car and once you start like traveling and stuff, I think the world just opens up, and that's what it did for me with skateboarding. I went from a neighborhood thing with school friends to like neighborhood thing with school friends to further neighborhood thing with school friends to wow, they know where this spot is, and so it's just the whole community that still lives today.
Yeah, so we all kind of know what the Subaru community is like. The people listening and just uh but what is the Subaru community compared to like the skateboard community? Is there a lot of similarities where everybody's just like really cool with each other and always want to help each other out and answer questions and stuff?
Yeah, I'd say so. You know, with with skateboarding, I think it's a little bit more sarcastic as far as like the humor, but you have that within the Subaru community as well. But it's just within friends.
Yeah.
Other outside of that, everyone um, they hold themselves with respect and dignity and class. Which is rad.
Yeah. Yeah.
In skateboarding, it's a little bit more. I think you kind of know people a little bit more just straight up front on how they are, like personality wise, because in skateboarding, I'm sure it's like this in a lot of sports, but in skateboarding, I find like if you're good at something like skateboarding, I feel like that creates, it kind of like feeds this energy into this changes your demeanor a little bit, and maybe you act differently because you're this good skateboarder, and you kind of lose like the wholesome person you are, and then you start acting out with your peers and you become like that. I think skateboarding kind of morphs people more into that, where it's kind of like a car guy. Like if his car was like super rad, like super fast and like sick, and like he got like this big ego, and he became like, yeah, I'm the red dub guy. I'm the red WRX. Like,
Yeah.
call me Phantom. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
But
Yeah.
like that's like in skating, it's like it's like that.
Okay. Yeah. So one of my patrons had a question. Neil, who goes by Neil Skis on Instagram, and this has to do with skating since we're talking about it. He said, if you had one skateboarding trick to land and it was life or death, what trick would it be?
I'd do the easiest one, life or death. I don't know. I wouldn't pick something hard. maybe a pop, maybe a pop shove it.
Yeah.
No kickflip. My kickflips are like 7%.
Yeah. And then he said he already asked what was the process like being in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater?
You show up, you have this schedule, you show up at a certain time, you meet some people that are kind of in and out, and you talk with the designers and graphics engineers are kind of like picking your brain about tricks. And they put you in this, not pictures I should post, they put you in this like globe, this big structure of just lights and cameras, and they take all these digital photos and they want you to, I think they have me like say things and facial reactions like surprise and this and that, and then they take all that and they create a character out of it. Boom.
And then how do they do like all the tricks and everything? Do they just kind of engineer that in, or do they take videos of y'all doing tricks?
Both. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nowadays, it used to be they put Tony in a leotard with all these balls all over him,
Mm-hmm.
and have him do tricks, and that's kind of how they did it. But nowadays, I think they do it maybe a little bit more digitally.
Yeah. And then Chris, who goes by Raven Trek, asks, who did you idolize growing up as you were getting into like action sports and skateboarding?
Local guys at my ramp or ramps, local scene that I went to and skated. Derek Rosowskis, still one of my true friends today that I travel with and hang out with. Tony Hawk, of course, guys like Jeff Kendall, Christian Soy, Steve Caballero, Mike McGill. Mike McGill was actually the first pro I ever met, and he was the nicest guy. Just, we were fully just skating together, walking up the ladder, talking to each other, hanging out, and just skating local ramp. So, yeah.
So getting back to the Subaru scene, when you got they pulled you into doing rally, did you own a Subaru at that time, or were they like, hey, come race for Subaru?
Yeah, they were like, I guess I showed my speed and I got the seat, and from there it was, I couldn't, at that point I was like, man, I need a Subaru to drive myself. So I got a Subaru myself, and I just, I did my little special tweaks to it, and I freaking love that car. It was a 2012 sedan, and yeah, she was sweet.
One of the other patrons asks, Alex goes by Subie Nova, asks, what is your favorite thing about the 22B?
I mean, I gotta say the flares. I love the flares. I mean, we can get into the drivability and how nimble and fun the drivetrain is, but I think what attracts me most are the fender flares.
Yeah, that's definitely a nice feature.
Yeah.
And then Katie, who goes by WRX in Effect, asks, why Subaru?
Oh, it's all about, once I drove the race car, and then once I drove a street car, that's why Subaru.
Yeah.
Hands down.
And then she asks, what was your first car that made you fall in love with driving?
First car that made me fall in love with driving was my first car that really got me into driving and attending driving schools was a 1990 Volkswagen Corrado.
Oh yeah, those were awesome. I remember those.
Yeah. It was the first car that I did track days in. It was the first car I did modifications to the motor. We did an engine swap to it, and it was the first car that I did body work. So we did the body kit. I did the body kit. We did a CBR 500, I think it was, gas cap off the Honda, welded onto the quarter, flush, like super, super sick. Like well before anyone was doing that stuff, like I moved the license plate from in between the taillights, went to the junkyard, cut out this, like, I think it was like an 87 Camaro bumper that was recessed in, cut it all out with the lights and everything. Went back to my house in my garage, cut my bumper out of my perfectly painted Corrado and recessed the license plate into the bumper and went and made a piece of plastic for the panel in between the taillights. All in my garage, like in California.
That's cool.
It was pretty, the car's still kicking too. It's still running.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
It's pretty sweet. That's the first car got me into like really driving. And then from there I got into like, you know, performance cars from there. More high-end stuff.
Yeah. So how many Subarus do you have right now, and what models?
I have, if you include my daughter's cars, I have 4 GC Imprezas. I have 1 Subaru Brett and 1 22 WRX. That's it. Yeah, that's it.
So where'd your STI go that you were showing off on Jay Leno's garage?
I sold that one. Yeah, I don't really keep the newer cars. I kind of roll them over and kind of get newer ones and kind of upgrade them. But then I built my GC, and then once I built my GC, I was like, oh, I'm kind of into this until you know, my wife was in the market to a car, and I like to have a daily driver as well that I don't have to shift. So she's into the CVT, and I was like, all right, I'll just, every time someone says something, I'll be like, oh, that's my wife's car right there. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So with your GC, that's the one that you have the video of you doing the build, and then you have I don't remember his name, but you were going for a drive and you let him drive it, and y'all were like chasing like a BMW and a Lexus or something like that. So how long did that build take?
I mean, I'm still finishing, and I still got to paint the car.
Oh, okay.
I still got to put a surge tank in it and put my Melee battery mount in the trunk with my anti battery. I still got to mount those with my surge tank. I have a radium surge tank that's got to go on one side, and then I got to paint the car. I still got to paint it.
Oh, okay.
So.
And how did you get involved with Melee Design Firm? Because I know that they have a battery mount that's kind of like a Lasek edition.
Yeah, we did. We reached out. We talked. Mitch over there. We connected, and then we started doing something to help a charity, Grant for Life. So all the proceeds when you order the Lasek Rally Sport Melee, some of the proceeds go to my buddy Mike's organization that helps cancer patients. Kind of upfront money, like helps them with like whether you need a plane, a hotel, quick money, not like money like you gotta wait for.
Yeah, that's good. That's awesome. And so, what would you say that your dream Subaru is?
My dream Subaru. Can it be a rally car? Or is it?
Yeah, it can be whatever.
22B. I say 22B. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. I wouldn't shy away from the S209 that I drove for tire rack. One lap. If they wanted to put that on my driveway and I'd take care of it for a little while, I wouldn't mind that one.
Yeah, that was a nice car.
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet car.
What was your first race experience like, and what was your first race event when you started getting into the Rallycross?
First race with Rallycross? You want to talk about that one, or just racing in general?
Yeah, I guess racing in general, racing for Subaru.
So racing Rallycross then, because I raced for Subaru when I was when I raced Rallycross, it was with Subaru. So with that, I came in and they didn't have another car for me. So it was Sver, Dave, and myself, but they only had 2 cars. And I believe they might have had they might have had a fourth car, but two of the cars were rally cars converted to Rallycross, and they didn't even have the same motor. So my first year, I was in probably like 100 to 150 less horsepower car. So like literally, like my reaction time sometimes would be like, bam! I'd be like top three. Even one time I was like leading into turn one, and then by turn one, it's like everyone just like passes me. It's just like I raced my heart out, but the car was kind of struggling until I got into a better car.
Yeah, so that's got to be kind of difficult and maybe a little bit disheartening in a way, huh?
Yeah. There was a lot of those moments with the car breaking with some turbo and some crazy failures, just odd stuff. Turbo horses popping off, and the first year was a struggle until we got the car dialed. And once the car was dialed, then it was more about racing.
Yeah, then it was probably a little bit more enjoyable out there on the track and being able to perform better, the way that you really wanted it to.
Right. Yeah. No, it was a good feeling to have a fast car.
Yeah. Yeah. So what has it been like for you, your experiences at all the Subie Fest events and other ones, and have you been to all the Subie Fest events?
Yeah, this year was the first time I went to all of them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I never went to all of them. It was always just kind of like a random here and there. And this was the first time that I got to see all the events, and pretty stoked about this coming year as well.
So what is your favorite thing about being at any of the Subie Fest events?
I think my favorite thing is just meeting everyone. A lot of the people I go and see at these shows, I know through social media, and I see some of their builds and I follow some of their builds. So it's cool to see them in person, and also to kind of see some of those dark horses that show up and just kind of blow my mind. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. So that was probably like some of the raddest things from this past year, aside from some of the ride-alongs. It was fun to get ride-alongs.
Yeah, the ride along was fun, and then being there at Boxer Fest and getting an opportunity to meet you, and just seeing you walk around talking to people and interacting with everybody. That was like really cool for me to see, because it's like people know who you are. You're kind of like you're a famous guy, and but you're very just open and just like down to earth and uh you know approachable. You're not like this guy that was kind of off in the corner and it's like, hey, you can't come talk to him because he's this big guy. You were out there with everybody, and it was really, really cool to see that.
Approach with caution, or with gluten-free anything, and you're good with me. I won't bite.
All right. So what is like, how have you dealt with like the fame and popularity over the years?
I don't really get it that much. Like, I'll get the random, hey, what's up? Can I take a picture and stuff? But other than that, it's pretty casual. It's quite nice because it kind of happens random enough that you get reminded that people appreciate you. So it's, even on my days where I'm like having a hard day, whether something happened at home or whatever, someone would be like, hey, can you take a picture or say this? And like, some people might get bugged by that, but like for me, it's like, oh wow, I feel appreciated. So it's like, I really like it. So it's nice. It's a nice gesture when someone comes up and wants to take a picture with you. So it's cool.
Yeah, and that's kind of just going back to Boxer Fest and seeing you interacting with people. Like, you never once looked like, oh my gosh, somebody else is coming up to me and they want to take a picture or they want to say hi.
Even when Lauren forgets to feed me.
Yeah. Well, it's I'll have to make sure she listens to this one, because when we first started talking, she was like, I'll be honest, I don't listen to podcasts. And I was like, oh, okay.
Sorry, Charles came through. He rescued me. He went and picked me up some Chipotle.
Ah, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, he's a good guy.
I have special dietary needs. So
okay. Yeah.
One event I was forgotten about, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I started nibbling on looking in people's trunks, like what's he got? Like, walking around.
Yeah. So where did the idea come from for Lasek Rally Sport, and like what's the idea and concept behind that?
My buddy Dave, Texas Dave from Rally Ready in Austin. He runs the rally school out there, and I'm out there so much. So we basically started Lasek Rally Sport as a program to kind of piggyback what he is teaching there at the school already. So people are always like, what are we going to do? You're teaching us that we want to learn all these techniques. And what are we going to do after we learn them? Like, go get arrested in the parking lot because, I was practicing my Scandinavian flicks, so to answer that question, we created Lasek Rally Sport to kind of help create the next phase for people to come and enjoy a stage rally and a stage prepped rally car. And basically it's just like a ride and drive program. You just ride and drive. Once you learn, the process, you can come and not go through the school, but you write the car off, you're definitely responsible for all that. So you would want to come in with the proper training that Rally Ready offers, and you go through the full program. We get you in a rally car, you go through the stages, you go, woohoo, I survived. That was fun. Let's do it again.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's cool because Austin's only like 2.5 hours from me. So I'm going to have to go make it out there sometime.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going there in like 2 weeks.
Okay, cool. So this is just kind of a random question, but what is something that most people may not know about you?
I don't know. It's social media these days. Everyone knows I have tortoises. They don't know about some of the special projects I have coming up on my Bucky channel.
Oh, there you go.
I'm not going to talk about those though. Yeah, special projects with that. I think everyone knows I like fishing. I enjoy saltwater fishing, big game fishing. I enjoy bass fishing as well. What don't they know about me? I used to breakdance.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Used to be pretty good at it. Nowadays, I'd be pretty good at it, but then not so good at it the next day.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel you there, man. Kind of going back to Jay Leno's garage, you had your car in there. When I was watching that video, he said you'd been on there a few times, but how did you get connected with him in the first place to be on there? And how many times have you been on there?
Been on there. I've been on Jay's show twice. 2 times, got invited through, I think, just media. I think they just reached out. Maybe someone followed me on social media and saw that I was in the cars and did some stuff, maybe racing or stuff like that, and had some personal cars. But I don't really recall. But I think it was through media. Someone reached out and I was like, yeah, let's do it. Did it. I think they still want to, I got to reach out again because they want to do the white car. My wife.
Yeah.
So that was the end of the show as I'm building a new car. So.
Did you ever go back and clean up your little tire marks from your skateboard?
No. I bet you can still probably pinpoint the exact spot where it was.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. So this is kind of a broad question, but like, what are some of your personal goals in life?
Some of my personal goals. Well, for this year, it's going to be racing more. And I think it's to become more organized with not just my garage, but like my life when it comes to like schedule. Because this past year was sketchy. There was one time I overlapped one thing, and it sucked, to be honest. So get that better this year, and just be a more kind person. Just try to pass it on,
Yeah. I think you're doing a pretty good job of that so far.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I have another question from a patron, Jay, who goes by Audiophile, asks, he has a few questions, but what has been the most challenging aspect of stage rally as compared to your time in Rallycross?
Rallycross is rad. I love the wheel-to-wheel racing. Downfall, getting taken out. Sets you back so far to get back on pace. Rally, the thing that I wouldn't call it that I struggle with. I wouldn't say that I struggle. I would say my biggest weakness right now is probably my notes. It's not my driving. I think my pace at driving right now is probably as fast as it should be with the notes I'm getting. So the better I can make my notes, the more I can progress as far as like speed. So I would say my notes would be was that the question, my weak point?
Yeah, it was just like what's been the most challenging aspect. So yeah. And then he asks, how does listening to your spotter in Rallycross differ from listening to your co-driver in stage rally?
Relatively the same, because they're giving you kind of like, they're feeding you inputs. But with Rallycross, they're less of your overall eyes and more of your overall peripherals. They're like your senses. Like, instead of looking in your mirror to see how far off the guy behind you is, if you can kind of duck into the turn, or you have to like give him the spot because he's door to door, he's your ears for that, so that you don't have to really look. You can look and see he's there, but then he's like clear. You're clear. So that's what a spotter would do. He's kind of like he's your informative, where your co-driver, he's your life. You know what I mean? Like, he's not just like telling you, he's telling you what's coming. He's not telling you what's kind of happening. He's telling you what's coming. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah. And then his last question was, how do you prepare mentally for racing? Is it different than mentally preparing for the vert ramp?
I think vert, I kind of stress a little bit more about my runs and my lines, where like racing, it's more about, I do it more on the play. I get more pleasure out of it. There is the technical side of racing that you definitely can't shy from, but I think skating is a little bit more stressful for me. I'd say, even at this point, I think I'd still be stressing if I had, with X Games and everything coming up this year. I still stress over a run. The night before a contest, I follow my sleep. I'll think my run fall. I can try it again. Let me try it again. I got to put on. I'll make it this one. I barely sketched. Like, I made it, but it was sketchy. Let me try it again. I do that. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah. And then this question comes from Anthony, who goes by Chewy Roo. He asks, what gets your adrenaline going faster, skateboarding, the vert, or Rallycross?
Ooh. I think Rallycross. Rallycross is like, imagine it's just instant start and go. Like, from the day I started training, we wake up at, 5 a.m. and go out and fire up the car and let it warm up and be ripping skids at like 6 and full on flat out sending it through the woods by 6:30 a.m. like coming in like, whoo, oh wow, what's coffee? Like, who needs coffee?
Yeah.
Rallycross, it's intense. I need to get in again.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then
Yeah.
Ed, who goes by Dark Wraith, asks, what is one of your best memories you have of your early skateboarding days?
One of my best memories has to be rolling down the sidewalk with my freshly built pink Pal Peralta Steve Caballero with yellow L3 wheels and yellow rails, skid plate, pink lapper, and just feeling those wheels over the cracks. Like, just like the feeling, and then like making the turn and like kind of like riding on the dirt a little bit, coming back on the sidewalk, feeling the big cracks, and then coming up on that one big crack where you kind of gotta like lift up a little bit, and you lift up a little bit, and the board kind of pops up over it, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're learning how to ollie. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's my first memory, and it was at my buddy Chico, which I don't know if you met Chico. You met Chico, I think.
I think maybe so. Yeah.
Yeah. It was actually that exact memory was in front of Chico's apartment complex down his sidewalk. And then that's also like not too far away where I learned how to do frontside bonuses in the neighborhood there.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
The last one from a patron, Jeff, who goes by Subie Trooper, asks, did participation in the X Games somehow help with the transition into Rallycross?
I would say skateboarding and being good at it opened up a lot of opportunities for me in other areas. In Rallycross, I think my speed got me the opportunity to get that actual seat in Rallycross. X Games, I don't really think X Games in that. Like stuff like X Games would help me get like, maybe, I don't even know. Like, I think at the time back in the day, like stuff like Long Beach Grand Prix, like skateboarding, being X Games gold medalist would get me an invite to come and be one of the drivers at Long Beach Grand Prix, which it did. And that's kind of goes to the story of like back when I was into shifter karting and doing all this training, kind of being like doing it as a hobby. I did Long Beach Grand Prix, met everyone, and I ended up winning it. And people were like, hey, you got to do this more often. Like, you should think about racing more. And I was like, I do it, here and there. And they're like, no, you should really do it. So I started racing out of Utah and doing all the Mustang Challenge races every weekend. And I was doing good. I was racing against like really fast guys that would come and just, during their downtime, they would practice and jump in one of these races, and I'd end up winning or podium, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm fast. I'm just as fast as that guy. So started doing it more. Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? That's cool. Yeah. That's, I'm sure that kind of got you prepared in a way for racing with Subarus. And then once you got into the Subaru for the first time, and then now you've got this passion for Subarus too. And do you think like maybe it's the all-wheel drive aspect of Subarus that kind of really helped with your passion for them now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, coming from racing, like think about like Scott, like how he came from tarmac, and think about his first race. I was there in Brazil when he raced for that first race in Rallycross, and the track was so silty, dusty, and slippery. He came in with those tarmac skills, didn't upset the car, kept it nice and smooth and tidy, whooped everyone's butts. And but then he has to learn all-wheel drive, counter steer, set the car up, set the car up early, steer it out straight, get it in the, and just learn to really upset the car to really get it to slide. That's kind of something that he's kind of learned how to do. But like that skill coming into Rallycross is such a good skill to have, that I think that's what makes some of these guys so fast, in these loose surfaces, but then again, you have Travis who comes in, and Peter Soberg who comes in with just that big slide angle entry, super fast, Liam, Doran, and just they're out just as fast. But that takes a lot of commitment on the entry, and you have to be really precise to do that every time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. So I didn't have any other questions, but I want to thank you so much for your time for doing this, and I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's an honor.
And anytime you're bored, you can create some of those beautiful thumbnails that you create. Holy moly, you're good at those things.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
You talking about like in the stories?
Yeah, your stories. Yeah, your stories kill it.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I like to have fun with it, and just do something different. And it's just like I noticed like early on when I started my account, I would see people putting somebody in their story, like, putting somebody else's car in their story, like a post or something, but they wouldn't tag them. So like I've always started tagging people because I know, like, for me and for anybody else, especially if it's a bigger account and somebody tags you, it's like, oh my gosh, they tagged me in their post or in their story. Like, that's super cool, So it's it's been fun. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's been fun. Yeah, it was good. Like you said, going to Subie Fest, it was nice to get a chance to meet you. We've been communicating ever since.
Yeah, and then we got a chance to go to Banger in the Hangar, me and my son, and got to meet you.
Where my old butt got wore out by an old backyard skate ditch.
Yeah, that was super cool. So I'm looking forward to it next year too.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah. So
every year.
Yeah. Well, thank you, and I hope you have a good night, man. And we'll talk to you later.
Yeah, have a good night, and hopefully see you this year at all the events, and look forward to hopefully getting a glimpse of the bucket in person.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right, man. Well, have a good night. Okay, well, that was super cool. It was awesome talking to Bucky and having him on the Subie and You podcast. It was cool because we were actually doing it through Zoom, so we got to see each other while we were talking, and that was really nice. That made it a different experience, and that was pretty cool. So maybe I'll try to start doing that more with the guests, doing Zoom, so that we can see each other while we're talking. I'm a little camera shy, so that's kind of why I haven't been doing it too much, but it was a lot of fun doing that with Bucky, especially since I met him before and we got to see each other. And he paid some pretty good compliments there at the end, talking about my stories. That was really nice. It was cool to hear him say that. So thank you, Bucky. That was awesome. And thanks again for coming on the podcast. And if you aren't following him already, what are you waiting for? Go find him on Instagram. You can also go check out his YouTube channel, Buck Yeah, where he has a lot of really good content. You can see some information in there about his builds. He's got a lot of stuff in there that he did recently with Paris and her brat. And then he's got some new projects that he talked about coming up. So look for those. Also, I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was, it was kind of in the works for a while because we talked at Boxer Fest. I actually took all of my podcast equipment out there just in case, because I told he was going to be there. But it was a really busy day. He had a lot going on, and I didn't want to take up too much of his time, but also wanted to be able to, create a good episode for everybody. So glad I was able to do this for y'all and get him on the show. Definitely got to have him on again at some point and maybe do like a build specific episode, talk about all of his builds. So anyway, thanks again for listening. Thanks again for showing up every week. I really, really appreciate it. It really means a lot to me. Thank you all for the DMs, for the likes, for the shares. Y'all are awesome. And I say it a million times, and I'll keep saying it, that you are all a huge, huge part of why this podcast is where it is today. So thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart. It really, really means a lot to me. So see you next week on the next episode and on the Wednesday news segment before that. Have a great week.